you think, have you collaborated in other things about outside Guns N' Roses?
Yeah, I'm getting into producing. I'm looking for bands to produce, and as I tour the world, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do that later after the tour is over, and maybe do some other people's records and things like that.
Do you think the group, its longevity, has something to do with them staying together, or do you think in the long run the group's going to break apart because Slash doing things, you're doing things, Axl's doing another thing? Do you think is this going to affect the group that you're playing other gigs?
No, I think it keeps it. I think it keeps it fresh. You know, like Duff did his own solo record, which will be out as soon as the tour's over, and Duff might even go out and do his own solo tour.
Oh.
But that's okay, because, you know, you look at any major rock and roll band like the Stones, you know, there was always a Keith Richards record, or a Ron Wood record, or a Mick Jagger record, and finally they've broken up after, what, 35 years or whatever, you know. But I think Axl's even talking about doing a solo record. He wants, because he likes all electronic keyboards and things like that. And it's just a way for us to do something separate from Guns N' Roses, because once we get together, it's the Guns N' Roses sound, you know, it's just however that works, you know, and to be able to go off and do something on your own, it could be just your vision. Okay. You know? So I think it's okay, it's okay to do that, it's fresh, you know.
What would you think is the secret behind Guns N' Roses? That's a hard question, I know, but...
There is no secret. You know, when I went in and recorded the Use Your Illusion 1 and 2 records, I had no idea what it was going to be. You know, it was just all these songs. We recorded so many songs that, you know, I was like, what are we doing here? You know, we recorded something like 37 songs for Use Your Illusion 1 and 2. And I thought originally that it was just going to be broken down to like 10 songs and be like one record.
One record, that's right.
But Axl came in one day and he said, let's make this 2 records. And we all went, what? We thought, you know, he was nuts, you know? And then it worked. And it just, however it happens, you know, there's so many different styles of music on that record, too.
That's right.
We have stuff all the way from, like, November Rain to Perfect Crime, all the way to heavy metal to the most mellow ballad, you know? But I think it was more of an experimentation than anything. I think the next time we go to do a record, we're going to do one record, and it's just going to be straight ahead rock and roll, and that's pretty much our plan.
I was going to ask you a little bit about that. Have you collaborated and have you written songs for the group?
Well, what we're doing now is, what we're writing now is when we go to a sound check or something, someone will play a riff, and we'll just kind of follow along, or I'll play a beat, and it just kind of happens like that, you know? One person picks up on the next person, and we all just all of a sudden are in a groove, and that's part of the song. You know, and then we just kind of piece these things together, and Axl comes in with a piece of paper, writes down the lyrics, and there you have it.
Okay.
Not that complicated, but for, you know, it just works for us. That's the way we work.
Do you have like training? You were a professional trained drummer or something like that, or did you start by yourself?
Well, yeah, I studied in school, and, you know, I had teachers and stuff like that, but basically I learned how to play rock and roll drums by having bands, you know. I always had a band from when I was 12 years old up. You know, I was with a band, and that was the only way for me to really learn how to play rock and roll. I listened to a lot of records like Led Zeppelin and, you know, everybody that, you know, that was good in the 70s and stuff. So that's kind of where I learned from. Black Sabbath and Deep Purple and all the great rock and roll bands, Queen.
Okay. Besides yourself, who do you think is the best drummer out there?
Best drummer out there.
Dave Weckl.
Dave Weckl.
Pearl.
Oh. You know, there's a lot of good drummers out there. You know, I really like Matt Cameron from Soundgarden.
Yeah.
He's great. And I'm still a big fan of the old school guys, John Bonham, Keith Moon, you know.
Yes.
Ginger Baker, all those guys. I couldn't really say.
Okay, and talking a little bit about older people, but we learn a lot from them. Is it true you all asked Brian May to open as an opening act?
Yeah, we did. we went and did the Freddie Mercury tribute. It must have been about a year ago, I guess. And that was, for me, one of probably the best gigs I've ever done. I mean, that I'll remember in my career, you know. I mean, hanging out with David Bowie and Robert Plant and all those people, you know. And just Axl became really good friends with Brian, and they talked a lot, and we were really big fans of Queen anyway. And when we heard he had a record out, we said, hey, you know, why don't you come along with us? Because we sit around all the time, we try to think, who's going to open, you know, because there's so many bands that someone won't open for us, you know. And then there's some that are busy or whatever, and Brian happened to be available, so we said, yeah.
Okay, so when is he going to start, or he already
did the United States with us, and he's going to do Europe with us again.
Okay. You finished your concert here in the U.S. the 6th of May. Are you planning to go back to the studio? Do you have any plans for a new record?
Well, we're going to go home and sleep in our own beds for a couple of weeks, and then we're going to go off to Europe for 2 months, and then after that we're all probably going to just disappear for maybe a while. And then start on another record.
Okay, so could you give us like an approx?
I could say approximately fall we'll start.
Okay, and do you have plans for like a film, like Guns N' Roses, something?
Can I say that? Yeah, I think I can.
Okay.
Yeah, we are. We're doing a documentary movie. And we've had a film crew with us now for well over a year now.
You brought it here in Monterey?
They're here, yeah. And they follow us around, and there's a guy with a, you know, one of those, and one of those. And we basically film whatever's going on backstage, and who's around or whatever, you know, just anything. And we'll edit it all together, and maybe we'll turn into something.
I hope we get to be on that film, definitely. Monterey, I can bet it's going to be one of your best concerts here. Is there, like, anything would you like to say to people in Monterey?
Just come out and have a good time, you know, and just be safe and all that kind of stuff in rock and roll.
Remember, in the beginning there was nothing, and now we have Guns N' Roses. Thank you very much. No te vayas, no más para ti, en Desvelados.